If you're like me, you're pretty tired to use the same sounds and plugin all the time. That's why I did my research and found 10 plugins and VSTs that people are not using very often or are straight up sleeping on. If you feel like you went through every single contact and analog banks on Hurt, this video is probably for you. In this video I will break down and show you 5 VSTs you can get your sounds from and 5 plugins to apply effects to them. Without losing any more time, let's jump right up into it. First plugin that not a lot of people know about, Nexus 2. For the first plugin I got BBC Symphony Orchestra, and this plugin is from Spitfire Audio. As you may have guessed with the title, this one is an orchestra plugin, so you will find in there instruments such as some strings, brasses, some flutes and stuff, even some percussion. Very simple plugin with not a lot of settings, but it does the job. One very cool thing about this one is not only you can mess with the delay, reverb and stuff, you can also mess with the notes settings. For every single instrument you will have some type of notes. So let's say I have some basses, so you would have some long basses, spiccato, pizzicato. Plugin goes super crazy. It is actually my go-to when I need some orchestra instruments. Best thing about this plugin is that it's completely free. Let's take a look at a few presets. Also, if you were looking for the craziest high-pitched violin, you're gonna find it in here. I truly believe this one is one of the most slept-on plugin I've ever seen, and to be able to get it for free completely feels like stealing. Moving on with the next VST, I chose Pigments by Archetype Labs. I'm also putting you on the Archetype plugin bundle. I think this one contains about 20 different VSTs. At this point I'm pretty familiar with it. I'm using a lot Analog Labs and Mellotron mostly. I still decided to choose Pigments because this one is super slept on and not a lot of people know about it. First look at the plugin, it might look a little bit complex and hard to understand, but the more you play with the settings and you just turn knobs is when you realize you can just pretty much do anything with your sounds. This plugin allows you to create some crazy preset, and most of the time when you're buying an Analog Labs bank, this is where it comes from. Let's just go over a few presets. This plugin actually got over 1,500 presets. Finally, I love this one because it reminds me some real hardware vintage synthesizer. A lot of grain, a lot of texture, very great VST, super slept on. The plugin that I chose is The Prince by Frank Dukes and Cradle. When I first tried this VST, I was not even surprised it was that good, because you know, it was made by Frank Dukes, the GOAT itself. This man definitely have some experience with vintage hardware, and when you try this VST, it shows. When you take a look at this plugin, you don't have that many stuff going on, but you pretty have every single thing you need. You can change your synthesizer waveform right here. You know, the attack, the delay, sustain, release. You also have the pan, vibrato, filter. You can mess with the detune, the pitch, the glide. And right over here at the bottom you have some effects like noise, distortion, chorus, delay, reverb. That reminds me RC20. You can also create your own preset by going through the 139 layers. So you can, let's say, put this layer with this one, and you would just register to the user section. My opinion on this one is that this VST is one of the closest thing you will have to a vintage hardware synthesizer. I promise you this one contains some sounds you just never heard before. Next VST we got Synology by Roland. I've already covered this one a little bit in one of my previous videos. This plugin is an emulator of 6 real vintage synthesizers. This one emulates the Z-Core, Jupiter 8, and even the Juno 106. I also love the way you can navigate through the plugin. You can just, let's say you want some guitar, there you go. You want it to be from a Juno 106. This one doesn't have any, but you get it. A couple weeks ago I had a real Juno 106 at my place and I was pretty skeptical about the plugin. I was like, there's no way in hell you can replicate a 1983 synthesizer inside of a VST. Well, I was wrong. This one is exactly the same. Same texture, same grain, same presets. For the demo I'm gonna go over a few Juno 106 presets. This is one of the best synthesizer plugin ever made, hands down. Let's be honest, real synthesizers are just not affordable. The fact that you can find all those vintage synthesizer inside of a plugin right up in FL Studio is just mind-blowing. For the last VST I had to put Kontakt in there, but there's a reason. Nowadays Kontakt is a pretty known plugin, a lot of people use it, but a lot of people are still searching for some good banks. If you made it this far into the video, you're about to see some real sauce. I'm about to show you all of my banks that I acquired through the years of sample making. I'm not gonna go every single one of them, but if you want to pause the video and take a screenshot, go ahead. I got quite a lot of them actually. There you go. Some of my favorite banks would be Tape Synthesizer, Vespertone is really great. Kontakt Factory Library has some gems in it. Emotional Piano, one of my favorite piano. Nucleus, very good orchestra bank. For the demo, I'm gonna go over this bank. It's called Vespertone by Teletone Audio. This bank comes with a Celeste, some Rhodes, vibraphone, and a World's this fucking instrument. Let's go over a few presets. What I love about this bank is that it feels so authentic. It feels like you have a session player playing right by your side. Now that you got some new sources and libraries of sounds, let's move on to the plugin effects. First of all, we have Shapeshifter. This one is pretty hard to explain what it does exactly. It's basically going to change your sound without affecting the pitch. I think this one also does some type of compression, I'm not too sure though. I'm just gonna go over a few presets. This is without any effect at all. Whenever one of my sound is boring but feels like it needs a little something, a little kick, I would just apply Shapeshifter to it. This one definitely have a really vintage feeling to it, and it also works on drums. Kinda gives a cassette, tape machine feeling to it. Let's say you record a guitar, you think it's great but it's a little bit boring, just slap some Shapeshifter to it. I just love it. Next plugin we have is Backmask. You probably already know how to reverse your sound. Sometimes maybe you just use effect tricks, maybe you use gross beat, or maybe you just reverse the waveform directly. This plugin was entirely conceived to reverse your sound in some ways you've never heard before. First look at the plugin, you see some buttons, some knobs, a kid eating a big old glizzy. This one is pretty straightforward. Usually I don't even mess with the knobs, I just slap my sound in here, play with the buttons. This is without. With. This one works great on piano, guitars. You can also try this one with hi-hats. If I'm not mistaken, this one was like 20 bucks. Really cheap. It is in fact my go-to plugin when I try to reverse my sound in a different way. When you go over here, you can just click this button. It shows exactly what it does. Next plugin that I chose is Archetype Curry, and this plugin is by Neural DSP. This plugin is one of the best virtual guitar amp I've ever tried in my life. First look at the plugin. On the top here, you first have a pedal that you can link by MIDI cable, I believe. You have a couple pedals, the amplifier. This one is a built-in EQ. The microphone that records the amp itself. You can even change it, change the position. Couple more cool pedals. You also have a bunch of presets that different artists made. This is the dry signal of my guitar without any effects. Let's browse through a couple presets. This one is almost the only plugin I've been using for my electric guitar. It is my go-to, it's perfect, I love it. 90% of the time I'm using this plugin. I don't need anything else, not even an EQ. To be honest, I haven't tried it yet with other instruments than guitar, but just like Guitar Rig 6, I'm pretty sure you can do some cool stuff. Next plugin we have is not really a plugin, it's more of a bundle. I chose Waves Complete. This bundles include more than 100 plugins, and most of them are really dope. I'm just gonna go over some of my favorites. CLA guitar for my electric guitar. You can play with the delay, the pitch, the reverb. There's a little compressor in there as well. Here's with and without. Such a big difference. CLA Unplugged, basically the same thing, but for acoustic and nylon guitar. J37, which is a tape machine emulator. This one is so great to add a vintage feeling to your stuff. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it's the best tape machine plugin ever made. If not, one of them definitely. NS1, which is a noise suppressor. I use this one a lot for my guitar recording. I'm using it right now with my microphone as well. One of the best denoiser I've ever seen. S360, which is an imager. You can play with your stereo shape, pretty dope. Waves Tune Real Time, which is just like Auto Tune. This was only a few of my favorite plugins from Waves, but when you take a look at this bundle, there is a lot of sauce in it. Even if there's a bunch of other companies that do the same type of plugin, in terms of quality, Waves are one of the best to ever do it. Last but not least, I chose Valhalla Bundle. I know a lot of y'all already have Valhalla Vintage Verb, but have you really tried their other plugins? One of my favorite is Valhalla Room. This one is more of a spatial reverb thing. There's also Valhalla Delay that I'm using all the time. This one is really special because it keeps your sound original but apply vintage effect to the delay itself only. Another interesting plugin from Valhalla would be Freak Echo. I don't know how to explain this one once again. It plays with the frequencies in a special way. Pretty dope when you're trying to spice your sounds a little bit. Now that was only 3 of their bundle, but there's a bunch of gems hidden in there. And yeah, this was 10 plugins that people are most likely sleeping on or are just not using at all. If you learned any new plugins today or you would like to have a part 2, let me know down in the comments. I definitely have some more sauce left, just let me know when you want it. Trying some new sounds, some new stuff that you've never done before, you will get amazing result, that is for sure. So I'm gonna catch y'all later this week for a new video. Until then, you be safe, take care of yourself. Peace!